Outlet Liquor is your place to buy a case. Stock up and save when you shop the lowest prices available every day at Outlet Liquor. You never have to wait for a sale. The more you buy, the more you save. Only at Outlet Liquor.
What's your outlet?
Welcome, everybody, to another edition of I'll Hang Up and Listen. Sabres lose a tough one tonight, 3-1 in a game where I think they didn't play all that bad. The shots were really close. I believe it was it 41-39 in favor of the Rangers. They had a late goal there in the second by Sam Reinhart, who's been on an absolute heater. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, his second start in the last three or four games. A very impressive outing, 38 saves on 41 shots. Definitely not on him in that third period. You can't give up that many penalties in one period. Cullen, just your thoughts.
Yeah, they played well in the first period, went in tied at 0. Reinhart was fortunate enough to get that bouncing puck around. It seemed like he worked for that goal at the end of the second. Tied up 1-1, and then, like you said, those penalties in the third period, you can't afford to take those in a game that's 1-1. Especially after you go on the power play and you can't convert to go up 2-1, and then you take the Tage penalty after he gets wrecked, wants to retaliate. Might have been a soft penalty, but you can't do that. And then you get the delay of game penalty. And
that was a tough one because that was definitely deflected. Yeah,
for sure. But he had the chance to go up 2-1 and then maybe not even be in that spot. In a 5-on-3 late in the third, and that third period really hurt the team tonight.
Yeah, you're not wrong. It sucks too because again you got such a good performance out of UPL, second time playing this season as a rookie. Looked very calm as a goalie. I like to focus on stuff like that. Obviously made a highlight reel save with his noggin there on Adam Fox, point blank, and you just. You saw a lot of the play progress and the development progress of players like Matthias Samuelsson, who has surprised a lot of people. I know, Paul Hamilton, I don't agree with a lot of the things he says, but he made a good point during the intermission about a play he made on Panarin that usually only you see veteran defenseman plays. How he readjusted to a play on Panarin and took the puck away from him, and in the process, it was kind of not a desperate play, but didn't take a penalty in doing so. And I agree with him. You don't normally see only veteran defensemen, guys like, maybe a Hedman or, a Shea Weber be able to make plays like that, in transition. So, that's been a breath of fresh air. The play of Will Borgen's been a breath of fresh air. Even Jacob Bryson, the defensive corps for this team going forward does look pretty bright. And, again, Sam Reinhart playing at center. I am a huge advocate. I was never an advocate of paying Sam Reinhart a boatload of money to play on Jack's wing because I'm a true believer that any elite center can get production out of average wingers. I believe Sam Reinhart is more valuable to this team at center ice. It provides you with a lot more depth down the middle, having him at center, and then you can slot in Dylan Cozen as your third line center, which, that'll be the most depth down the middle that you've had probably from Freer and Drury when we were with the team over a decade ago. Honest to God, it's really great to see Sam finally, really fulfill his potential at the position we drafted him at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he's been on, like you said before, he's an absolute heater this month. He kind of carried me to an almost victory in the first week of my fantasy playoffs because he just was producing. He had that hat trick. And then tonight he had that goal that kind of gave us a spark of energy going into that third period. So, yeah, when he comes back, we love seeing his production with Eichel in the past. But Reinhart without Eichel out there has been proving that he can make it on his own. Like everyone who says that Reinhart can't do it without Jack, go watch all the highlights from the month of April, and you'll see so many Reinhart goals because he's been able to do it all. That goal he had tonight, he somehow kept it at the line, was able to outwork everybody, tap it.
Great pass.
That I think it was. And then, and Reinhart knew he had that angle on that one-timer in front of Dahlin because Reinhart's the righty, so he's able to walk in and step right into that shot and fire it in. So yeah, we need to keep Reinhart on that center position. I know how bad that we wanted to see him and Eichel and Hall play together and play well together, but Hall's gone, Eichel's hurt, and Sam has stepped up into the role that we need him to. And then it's good to see those young guys that are out there working hard and trying to be the best player that they can. UPL had 38 saves. You can't blame him for this loss at all. I mean,
I don't put any of those goals on him.
Yeah, exactly. And 38 saves in his second game. That's over 35 saves in both his only 2 games. That's incredible. And then, like you said, Borgen had one heck of a game. Samuelson, the play you're referencing, I think is the one on Panarin's breakaway. That's such a great play and able to get back and, like you said, not draw a penalty, not give Panarin a penalty shot, because he's one of the premier players in the league. He's probably 7 times out of 10 he'll score, especially on UPL, who hasn't faced any penalty shots or shootout this season. So yeah, Samuelson, great game by him, and it was just those errors in the third period where you take the penalty and because you got decked coming into the zone, and then you get unlucky and the refs don't see a clear tip that sends the puck over the boards, and you end up losing the game 3-1.
Yep, and let's not forget the second fight of the year for Dylan Cozen, really showing a lot of leadership from the young 19-year-old kid. Got her here, fight off your, I'm gonna say your demons. Maybe give me a right pronunciation there, but for real, when it's a Dylan Cozen Jake Paul fight, I don't think Jake Paul wants anything to do with Dylan Cozen. Let's be honest. But it's been great to see Dylan Cozen really step in, stand up for his teammates on that hit from behind on Kajula, for sure. And yeah, the one thing I am getting tired of though is to see, when stuff like that happens, just kind of see people kind of rag on Jack Eichel and like, oh, he's more of a leader than Jack Eichel. You'll forget Jack Eichel fought last year too to try and spark his team. Like that, you shouldn't be asking that from. I get it, when you wear the C, it comes with certain responsibilities, but asking a guy like Jack to fight is no different than asking Connor McDavid to fight.
Exactly.
Like, what sense does that make? Like, leadership isn't just dropping the gloves and fighting people. Dylan Cozen is maybe a little bit more built for doing things like that. Jack Eichel isn't that guy. He's never going to be that guy. So stop asking him to be that guy. He's never going to be that guy. So I'll just end it there because I saw a lot of that on Sabres Twitter. I just get away from that. No, he's never. You're going to ask Austin Matthews to drop the gloves? No, absolutely not. Like, that's not his job.
And it hasn't been. Like, you look at the Penguins over the years, Crosby wasn't one of those guys who's going to go out there and get in a fight 1 game a week. Like, he wasn't that guy. These guys are captains because they lead their team on the ice and in the locker room in other ways. Like you said, it's not all about going out there and trying to retaliate and drop the gloves. And it's nice to see that we have someone, even if he's such a young guy in Cousins, that's willing to do that. Like, we'd like to see other guys step up. But it's nice to have that guy that's so young, but he takes such pride in what he does and who he plays for that he's willing to risk it all for his teammates.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's again, it's just that I just feel that Dylan Cozen is a guy, again, that's more built to do that. Like, that's more a part of his game. You got Stevie Business here, Austin Matthews, but he's the same. But honest to God, it was between Tavares and Austin Matthews for the C. And if Austin Matthews doesn't drop his pants with a female security guard, and get arrested, he probably is wearing the C right now. But the point is, he's the same. In terms of what he means to his hockey team, it's no different for Austin Matthews, the Leafs, as it is for Jack Eichel with the Sabres. They're both the same guy. Like, they're their go-to guy. John Tavares isn't the go-to guy in that sense. Like John Tavares, he is a leader. But in terms of an elite goal scorer, an elite playmaker, young talent, fast up the boards, that's what Jack Eichel is. That's what Austin Matthews is. Those guys aren't going to go out and fight. Neither is Tavares. Come on, Tavares isn't going to fight anybody either. So I don't know. I hate seeing those comparisons. Like, leave the guy alone. Like, the guy played hurt all season, bum ankle, fractured ribs, played through that, still put up 18 points in 21 games. But he's a problem apparently. Add Jack Eichel to the mix with this team next season, and the depth you will have down the middle, especially with Sam Reinhart. If you keep him at center, if he could still play at this level, holy shit, you are going to have again some of the best depth in the league down the middle. I don't think that's even like debatable. If you can get that production out of Sam Reinhart as your second line center and Dylan Cousins as your third line center, I mean, I don't like saying Casey Middlestat should be your fourth line center, but look at that depth down the middle you're going to have. It's going to be insane. Mm-hmm. And again, just to see the development of your young defensemen, and hopefully they take the steps necessary to progress to contribute more next season. I keep talking about next season in these I'll hang up and listen videos, but it's true. It's so true. Like the future looks so bright for this hockey team right now, and you're coming into another off season where you can sign guys on cheap contracts, cheap short-term deals because of the economy and the world we're living in right now. And much like this last free agency period, where you have guys who are better than average hockey players signing short-term $1.5–2 million deals. That's what Kevin Adams needs to do this offseason in free agency. He needs to sign a few guys like that on short-term deals to give these guys like Bryson, like Borgen, like Cousins, like Samuelson, more time to develop and not put all this unnecessary pressure on them this early on their career. Let them flourish, let them develop, in certain roles. Don't ask them to be 25-minute a night guys right away off the bat next season, because you tried doing things like that with Casey Middlestat. It didn't work right away. It took Casey longer than you would have hoped to develop into the player he is right now. So, again, yes, it is hard. It is hard not to talk about next season. It is. I'm having fun with it. I'm having fun thinking about it. I love talking about it. I can't wait for October to get here already so we can start talking about training camp and, what the Sabres did in the offseason, the draft. The draft, draft will be here sooner rather than later, man, and it's going to be interesting to see, especially where Buffalo falls, because chances are they're probably going to finish last, and they're going to be in a prime spot to possibly draft first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and can you pull up this one comment, that one there? Yeah, we get next season. Like, this season wasn't great at all, wasn't even good. So now that we're getting better as the season's finishing, you want to look forward to next season where you get Jack coming back, you get Jake McCabe coming back, and we'll talk about goalie here. I don't know what's going to happen with Allmark. He wants to test the waters of free agency, so we'll see what happens with him. But, yeah, I mean, I personally, I don't want to throw UPL in there right there next year to be the starter, but I think we need to go out and get – if we can't keep Allmark, obviously a goalie should be one of our top priorities. But, yeah, like you said, going out and getting some guys that can play ahead of these young guys so they're not forced to go out there and play 70 games next season or even 65 games, where you have guys that they can develop under, because we don't want another Casey Middlestat situation. Like you said, we don't want a guy who's supposed to be the next great guy and we throw him in there and you pressure him too much. Like, this season is great. Yeah, throw these guys in the last 20 games of this shortened season and see what you can get out of them, so you know what you have going forward into this upcoming free agency. But you don't want them all to have to play 65, 70 games next year if it's a full season again. So go out and get those guys. Obviously, a goalie is the top priority, but if you can find those guys to come in and play alongside Jack, play alongside Sam, and then play alongside the youngest and one of the best guys on our team right now, it seems like, and leaders, his Cousins, put some guys next to him, and you'll see what you got going forward, and then you can start to weave those guys in. If those veterans aren't able to produce like we expected, they're signing a short-term deal, so it doesn't really matter. Short-term and fewer money than you would have expected. So you can take them out and insert those young guys back in because you know they're capable based on what we've seen over the past month or so, ever since the streak ended.
Yeah, and you know what? There are a lot of interesting names. I'm looking here right now in free agency in 2021 in the goaltending market. Topping the list is, possible future Hall of Famer Tuukka Rask. Right after that, Pekka Rinne, Frederick Anderson, Devin Dubnyk, Antti Ranta, Another one, Philip Grubauer, Peter Mrazek. There's going to be a lot of goalies available in free agency, and I would absolutely. I can't see Tuukka Rask coming to Buffalo if he leaves Boston. He's not going to go to a team that's in the middle of rebuilding. Pekka Rinne too. But again, every goalie has their price. But maybe you can grab a Frederik Andersen. Maybe you can grab an Antti Ranta or a Peter Mrazek, a guy that if you do bring back Omar can be a very solid backup for you. You have to address that. And you mentioned earlier that Omar said that he did want to test free agency waters. It was redacted, I think, the very next day by.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he said.
Okay.
His agent said that they neither him nor Olmark ever said to anybody that they plan on testing free agency and that they do want to work out a deal at Buffalo. But again, what's the deal going to look like? You have a goalie that's been constantly hurt, hurt quite often in his tenure here with Buffalo. Like, what is his price? What does he think he's worth, and what does Buffalo think he's worth? You have to take that into consideration. You don't want to overpay. I'm not about overpaying goaltenders, even though I am a goaltender. I do not agree with paying goalies a lot of money because I think it's been proven too many times in the past that you can win with average goaltending. As good as the LA Kings were and as great of a playoff goalie as Jonathan Quick was, he wasn't an elite goaltender. Corey Crawford has 2 cups. Antti Niemi, a cup before that with Chicago. You look at Pittsburgh. I mean, Fleury, at a time in his career he was elite, but Matt Murray has 2 cups. He's not elite. He's not a phenomenal goaltender. He's average at best, and he has 2 cups, just proving that if you just build the team in front, and obviously manage your cap well, you can easily win, be successful, and be able to have the ability to sustain success for a long period of time. If you just manage your cap right, you build in front of your goaltender rather than do what like Montreal has done in the past and pay Carey Price $10 million, or Florida who pays Sergei Bobrovsky $10 million and he's not even starting consistently. It's mind blowing to me to ever pay a goalie more than the max $6 million in a season. That's my line. That's as much as I'm ever willing to pay a goaltender. If they want more than that, see you later. I'd rather spend that money on offensively or on my blue line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. You have to be able to score the puck. I mean, yes, an average goalie is going to stop. I mean, UPL stopped 38 shots tonight, and all 3 goals were not his fault. So you get a guy like one of those veterans who can come in, or even if Allmark, if he can stay healthy, he's going to hold down the fort enough. And next season, when you got these young guys that have proven they can play, you get Jack coming back, you get these free agents coming in, you have to be able to put the puck in the net. Yes, you obviously want to stop as many as you can, but if you can hold the other team to 2, even 3 goals with this offensive firepower that this team should have, you should be able to win games and be a successful team and not take losses where you're losing 5-1 or 6-4, because 5 goals is unacceptable, especially this season when you haven't been able to produce offensively. You have no shot of winning any games if your goalie is going to let in 6-5 goals.
Yeah, I agree. Only a handful of games left here for the rest of the season. Let's hope the Sabres have some more good showings. And I think I'm all on board the Donnie Meatballs train here. I think he should be the next coach of the Buffalo Sabres, just based off what he's gotten out of guys like Casey Middlestat, how his game has turned completely around offensively. The reemergence of Rasmus Dahlin, he looks better and better every single night. What he's been able to get out of even Tage Thompson, which is to me is unbelievable. The guy was useless under Kruger. Now he serves a purpose. He plays with purpose, and that's really nice to see. Nothing will ever justify the Ryan O'Reilly trade, but if you can get something out of it, turn Tage into a consistent bottom 6 player, I'm happy then. I'll never be happy with that trade, but if you can just get something out of Tage Thompson that's serviceable, for a year or 2. And then, we'll see how Ryan Johnson develops, defenseman that was that draft pick was used on in the Ryan O'Reilly deal. Just, try and justify 10% of that trade. I mean, at the very least, because, if you don't, it's probably going to go down as the worst trade in NHL history.
Yeah, it's good to see that we've been able to. I mean, all I'm thinking about is that one backwards pass right to the middle that should have been a goal that Tom Wilson passed up against the Capitals when Tage coin was invented.
Oh, the night Tage coin was, the moniker was made. It was wow.
Yeah, that backhand pass.
That highlight haunted my dreams for about a week because like, how are you in the NHL and you're making blind passes like that? That was wild. And then
in your own zone, for that matter, too. Not even like he's
in front of your own net.
Somebody
in front of your own net.
Yeah.
Just, oh wow.
But it's good to see that he's been able to produce under Granato, and I hope he stays here next year. I'm curious to see if he's able to get this much, not this much, but if he's able to get as much of production as he's been able to get out of these guys. I want to see what he can do with Jack Eichel. And the systems, it's obvious that we've scored a lot more than we did when Kruger was here. And the systems, it seems to be working. Obviously, we're not stringing together 5, 6 wins in a row, but we're putting we're putting pucks in the net sometimes, but it's obviously a lot more than what we were used to seeing during those 18 games where we lost 4 games in a row by a score of 3-0 or more. Like it was absolutely brutal.
Purpose. They're playing with purpose, and they're not giving up on themselves in the middle of games. Even when this team currently is down like 2-0, you could see the fight in their game. They're playing with bite still. They're not giving up on themselves. They're not giving up on plays. Where under Kruger, it was just night and day. They were just, the second they were down 2-0 in the second period, it's like, oh, it's over.
Yeah, and Kruger, you get maybe with under Kruger, you probably get 15 to 23 minutes of hard work, we'll go out and say. And under Granato, even tonight, we're seeing a full 60 minutes of hockey where these guys, they really want to be out there, and they, like you said, they're playing with their purpose.
Fight off my fight off ride. Again. I'm still holding myself to buy in the Tage jersey if we had 40 points. 2 goalies, one Mike will hold it to you too. And like a couple last few comments. I'm good with Granato. He has let players play free into their strengths. Weird, huh? Agreed. It's weird what happens when you have a bunch of offensively talented players and you put them in a position to, to utilize that talent to the best of their abilities. Weird, how the goals just come and you're not losing as often and you're just not out of games as often. Weird. You wonder what this team would look like again if you had your number one center, your starting goalie, and probably your best stay-at-home defenseman not injured. Just saying. To the person above me, I'm pretty sure I can outskate Playoff Post. I have screws in my ankle. Yeah, I mean,
he's up for the Rick Martin Award that the Sabres have every year. I saw they listed like their last 7 finalists, and it's like on ice performance and leadership off the ice. And Kalak Poso was one of the 7 finalists. I figured you'd get a kick out of that.
Whatever, man. He's a waste of a roster spot. I don't care what he brings to the locker room, man. It doesn't equate to wins on the ice and never has. So, fight off your demons. All right, I got it. We got it. Fight off your demon. I get it. Should be Samson. I agree. I think Samson. I think Reinhart does deserve that Rick Martin Award. Next season, boys. I love it. Okposo plus Risto plus Plix. Seattle Eagles hang a banner for Kevin. Agreed. I do agree with that. If you can unload easily $9 to $10 million off your cap between those 2 players, 100%, build the statue for Kevin Adams in Alumni Plaza. So, guys, it's been a lot of fun. We will bid you adieu. It's been real. Unfortunately, we couldn't get that one in the garage tonight and get a W, but a lot of things to be happy about. Another great performance by UPL. Sam Reinhart stays in the heater, and these young defensemen still look good. So, again, guys, I will hang up and listen for Intern Cullen. Good night, and let's go Sabres.